is in the mind of most of the people in Brazil. Of course, we have a lot of rich people there as well, a lot of diversity. But yeah, so that's the reality there. And coming from a country like that, if you don't change your environment, if you don't go to a different bubble, like be part of a different society, it's very hard for you to change your mindset because you are just there, living there, and just looking up, just thinking about the next day, and you see all the media uh, telling you to buy things. You just get this mindset that okay, rich people is not good people because they.
Welcome, millionaires and future millionaires. You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, a show where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their portfolio allocation. Now to your host, Jace Mattinson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 405.
This is the podcast where we take a deep dive into the journeys, secrets, and strategies of self-made millionaires. In each episode, we sit down with regular people turned millionaires to uncover the real stories behind their wealth building. Whether you're looking for inspiration, practical advice, or the untold lessons from those who've made it, you're in the right place. Tune in and discover what it really takes to build lasting wealth and change your life. Let's get started.
We are fresh off the Masters, which is one of the biggest sporting events in the world in the year. And it's pretty crazy because this is the first time I experienced it myself. But the merchandise sales alone, $1 million an hour. It's crazy. It's wild. It's another level. And I just find that so fascinating. You know, it's an event with no cell phones, no cameras, at least during the tournament days. No cell phones, period, but no cameras during the tournament days. And yeah, just the power of the brand, of the Masters brand. It's pretty remarkable what Augusta has built and what it means for the game of golf and the world of sports. And yeah, a lot of interesting statistics from a financial standpoint around the Masters. So fresh off Royal McIlroy completing the Grand Slam. Yeah. I heard a statistic while I was there too that I thought I would share. I don't know where it comes from, but it's a pretty credible source. And he said that winning the Masters from a economic standpoint is equivalent to about $40 million in earnings between, additional sponsorships and everything else. The winner takes on, I think it was like 4.2. But, and obviously about half that goes to taxes between federal and state. But, yeah, worth $40 million plus winning that over the course of, the next several years. I don't know what that time period is, but pretty remarkable when you think about it. Maybe one of these days we'll get a professional golfer on the show or a professional athlete, period. I know we've had a couple call outs. I think we've got some close possibly that have been willing to come on, but all of us know the paychecks that you're getting. I would assume some of y'all are saving it, investing it, and have built up a substantial net worth. So one of these days we'll get some professional athletes, get possibly some news anchors or, some journalists on the show as well. I feel like those are professions that we see frequently, we talk about frequently in day-to-day life and have not had representation. So if you'd like to be on the show, send us an email, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. We're always looking for new, great, entertaining guests. And yeah, Q2, Q3, we'd love to get some scheduled if you haven't been on yet, or actually even if you have, and we are doing a few kind of catch-ups and some updates with some millionaires. We'd love to have you on the show. Send us an email and we'll get it scheduled. Today, we've got a wonderful guest. His name's Gustavo. He's got a net worth of $1.3 million. He's got a good chunk in Bitcoin. Started putting some in there back in 2020. He is from Brazil originally, but currently lives in Australia. moved there to learn English. He's been in IT, computer programming his entire career. He's in his early 30s. And it's going to be a great interview. Quite a remarkable story. We do get into kind of some of the details and into the weeds of what it's like to grow up in a different country and kind of some of the third world type environments that exist where he's from. And it's pretty raw. So get ready for that. And without any further delay, let's get right into it with Gustavo. Gustavo, do you want to just give us about your background and what you're up to now?
Sure. My name is Gustavo. I'm Brazilian. I'm 33 years old. I'm a software developer. I've been working in IT since I was 16 years old. But I moved from Brazil when I was 24 just to learn English. So I came to Australia. And that's where I live right now. It's been 9 years. And I guess in terms of net worth, I'm sitting on $1.3 million right now, if my math is correct. I guess that's a quick overview. Oh, I'm also married, and I got a son, almost 2 years old.
Nice. So you went to Australia to learn English. Do they speak better English there than anybody else in the world, or is that just the place that you were able to get in to learn English?
That's a good question. It's funny because most of my teachers was not from Australia. I don't know if that tells anything, but that's the place where I choose because I was able to work while I was studying, which made a lot of difference to me because I wasn't able to afford just to do a exchange program without working. I know it's very tricky because it's very far from home. But yes, I guess answering your question, they do speak a good English. I don't think I can say no.
Yeah, we love our Aussie friends. It's fun to compare though. We all have a little bit different accents. I think they think our accent's a little bit screechy or something. But at any rate, so you moved to Australia to learn English. Net worth is at 1.3 now. How is that broken up?
Yes, I guess 1/3 of it is sitting on Bitcoin right now. It wasn't planned to be like that, but Bitcoin is just increasing a lot since I bought it. And the rest is basically split into ETFs. And I also have, I think, 20% in cash, which is sitting on my company at the moment. And the rest is just ETFs across 3 different countries: Brazil, Australia, and US.
Wow. So, okay, let's back up here. This is pretty interesting. So, let's talk about Bitcoin first. So, you've got a nice chunk in Bitcoin, which you said was not the plan. Walk us through your initial purchases of Bitcoin. When was that? Why did you decide to buy Bitcoin and get into crypto in the first place?
Okay, that's a good question, right? I guess I'll have to start by saying how I learned about investment. Back in Brazil, we are a very small portion of the world in terms of finance. We only represent 2% of the global market, but we have a lot of people there, right? So 200 million plus. And in the last decade, we had a lot of influencers talking about investments. And I did a investment course back on 2020, where my teacher was able to show me the power of Bitcoin. And during that time was just when I started to make a lot of money here in Australia because of business was doing great and COVID hit us. And I was fortunate enough to be in a field where I could just keep working and the demand was just increasing and increasing. And I was in the middle of this with a lot of cash on my pocket and just learning about this new technology, right? And I was, since the beginning, I was diversifying my investments, but I put a lot of money in Bitcoin during that time as well. And it wasn't like I put 30% in Bitcoin since the beginning. I put like my goal was 1%, 2%, 5%, and the rest was just compounding over these years because I've never sell it.
So when did you make that first initial investment in Bitcoin? Was that when you were still living in Brazil, like over 10 years ago?
No, it was in 2020, January
Oh,
2020.
wow. Okay. So it's just 5 years ago. So you were learning still in Portuguese what was going on investment wise in Brazil, not necessarily getting your investment education, so to speak, in Australia, but from Brazil in a way, correct?
Correct. That's
Wow.
totally correct. Yes, and since now and even nowadays, I prefer to learn um, like using the same teacher that I have in Brazil than in the rest of the world. I'm trying to I try to get myself updated with different uh, from different persons in everywhere. Like that's how I found you. But yeah, my preferable teacher is still my teacher in Brazil. His name is Bruno Perini, if anyone is in interest. But unfortunately, he only speaks Portuguese, so you gotta learn Portuguese if you want to learn from him.
That's cool. So you make these first initial investments into Bitcoin. Talk us through the diversification into these other ETFs that you also started buying.
Sure. Yeah, I got some ETFs that targets the US. Also those that target just the US. Oh, sorry, just the Australian market. I got fixed terms there, US fixed terms, bonds. Yeah, I don't know if you're asking about the names of the ETFs in specifically or just the
Yeah,
where
just
it's invested
overall. I
in.
mean, yeah, I'm just curious, kind of, living in Brazil, learning in Brazil, then moving to Australia, and you've got investments now in both of these countries. And then you said Sweden was the other one?
No, Australia, US, and Brazil.
Oh, US and Brazil. Okay. So
Correct.
walk us through how that evolved and emerged. I mean, now you've got three different currencies, investments in three different markets. Talk us through that a little bit because that's pretty unique. I mean, we don't get somebody on the show every day that's investing, in three different countries, in one that's
Yes,
probably considered an emerging market. You know,
exactly.
yeah, talk us through
Yes.
that.
Yeah, by answering this question, I'll probably also give you one of the biggest mistake that I made when I was starting. I had the home bias, right? Because I was learning, as I said, from my teacher in Brazil, and the only companies that I knew, only uh, assets that I knew was in Brazil. So my portfolio allocation was really heavily uh, in the Brazil market at the beginning. But then I realized, okay, I'm doing great. I'm earning a percentage. I can see my assets growing, but I'm living in a country that if I convert the currency, I'm losing money. How is that possible? Like I'm doing everything great, but I'm starting to lose money if I convert back to the Australian dollar or the US dollar. So then that's when I learned, okay, Brazil is great. It pays a lot of interest, but there is a reason for that. Because money, government just spends a lot, and the currency is just going down very quickly, I guess. And that's when I started to diversify in different markets. And I didn't sell everything that I had in Brazil, but I stopped investing there since 2020, the end of 2020. So all the rest of my portfolio was invested after that. And the allocation that I still have in Brazil is just minor compared to the rest of the.
Prizepicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prizepicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prizepicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Want to play Prizepicks alongside Drusky, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in Prizepicks community each week. Download the Prizepicks app today and use code Millionaire and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Millionaire on Prizepicks. Get $50 instantly when you play for $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prizepicks, run your game. And thanks to Prizepicks for sponsoring today's episode.
Portfolio nowadays.
Super interesting. Thank you so much for talking us through that. I don't know that we've ever had anyone on that's invested like that in 3 different countries before. So very cool. You have quite a journey coming from Brazil, living in Australia. You started IT, you said at 16. How did you even start that young?
Yes, and out of curiosity, it was my first job. I wasn't planned to join the IT world. I was actually in it by coincidence because my first job as an apprentice, I was studying part-time, and on the other part-time, I was invited to help a team, and that team was all IT. And they helped me to understand what IT is, and they teach me how to develop. That's how I joined that field, and I'm really grateful for that, to be honest, because like 15 years ago, IT wasn't what IT is nowadays. But yeah, it drove me to a very privileged spot now because that yeah my skills, my professional is what made me able to be here in Australia as well, because they needed my skills here. The beginning wasn't easy. I need to be honest. I was not the kind of person that was born to be in IT. I'm not a nerd guy. I play instruments. I like people. I like to engage with people. I like different things. But because I learned that so young, I think it made a difference to me. Just to see how I need to think when I'm talking about computers and to program in specific. But yeah, it's been a long journey. I'm planning to retire now.
Planning to retire soon?
Yes, I, I, I think about that all the time, to be honest. If you ask my wife, she'll probably say, "Oh, he wants to stop working next year," because that's how I feel all the time. Yeah, but I know I'm very young still, and yeah, there are a lot of things that's happening in IT, especially with AI. So there are a lot of things that I'm learning nowadays. Um, yeah, and I've also converted my wife to be IT, so
So she can hate what she's doing too?
not now. She's working right now. She's in another room, but she'll be hearing this later.
Okay. So you want to retire soon. Do you see yourself stepping away from work completely, or you just want to switch gears? It sounds like maybe you're burnt out on what you've been doing for such a long time and want to do something you enjoy more.
Yes, it's a good question as well, because if you asked me the same question like 3 months ago, I'll probably say yes, I want to stop working and not do anything. But I had what they call as a mini retirement experience when I was traveling last year. Yeah, we did a whole trip across Brazil. You know, Brazil is big, right? We did from south to the north, and we also did a cruise towards the end of the year. On those periods, I was not doing much um, at work, and in the cruise, I was not doing nothing at all. Like just one day, I had to do stuff, and I discovered that I don't see myself doing nothing anymore. Like I had free time, I had a lot of entertainment, I had my family with me, but I didn't have much purpose in my understanding of purpose, right? I was not being used as productive as I used to be, like using my brand and proposing solutions for things.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like I need to plan a bit more what I'm planning to do in the next year or two, in terms of retiring, because I don't see myself doing nothing anymore.
Yeah, you want to stay engaged in something that's interesting and feels like it's worthwhile for your time.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So it's on my to-do list. I don't know how to answer that right now.
Is your wife wanting to retire soon too?
No, that's interesting. She wants to have a break once we have the second child. She had a similar break when we had the first one. She was not working for a year, almost a year and a half, and she loved it. And she wants to do the same thing again, but she doesn't have this desire to not do anything. Of course, she says that she wants to stay at home and look after us more than she's doing right now. But to be honest, I don't see her doing nothing. Like she probably will try to do some work as well. Not saying that the work at home is not a work, but I mean a paid work and help different people out there. She's the kind of person that will probably stick with that
Right,
for
right,
long.
for sure.
Is your wife from Brazil as well, or is she from Australia or somewhere else?
She's Brazilian. We came together.
Okay, so you came together. At what point did you start having kind of these investment conversations with her, or did you at all?
That's a good question because it wasn't easy. And to be honest, it's been easy, I guess, just 1 year from now, because before it was a nightmare. She wasn't onboarded. I wasn't able to convince her that this was important. And to be honest, the change was when I hired a company to help us to choose investments with no interest conflicts. Just like a professional person that was sitting with us every month and showing us, okay, this is your allocation for this month. This is how your portfolio looks like now. And that's the performance over the last year or so. That's when she started to realize, oh, that's a thing, right? So that company that we hired was treating us like a company, and she realized the power of the investment and the compounding that we had over these years. Uh, and that's when she got onboarded. And now I guess she's more onboarded than me on that. She likes to talk about it, and yeah, and just her behavior has changed a lot in terms of saving, and yeah, plan for the future as well. And
That's
ambitious.
awesome.
She's much more ambitious now.
That's cool. What was it like? I mean, coming from an emerging economy, I mean, you've made a couple comments about what things were like in Brazil, and these influencers talking about investments, but just talk to us a little bit about what it's like to grow up there, and are these common conversations? I mean, do you graduate school with any type of financial literacy? Is it the things you see in Australia and America where they're constantly bombarding you with credit card offers? I mean, talk us through that a little bit. Give our listeners kind of paint a picture of what it's like in Brazil as growing up as a child that way.
Yes, I guess it's very hard to explain for someone that haven't been there, but I'll try my best. Um, I guess I will start saying that the family income in Brazil is probably what people spend in half month in a developed country. So that's the yearly income, right? The place that I came from, my family yearly income was around, let's say, two, I guess, $3,000 per year as a family income. So yes, it's very poor. Like we we the place that I came from, we don't really know what investment is, to be honest. We don't get to know that because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why should we save and invest if we don't have food on the table, or if we can't afford to send our kids to a proper school? Like things like that is in the mind of most of the people in Brazil. Of course, we have a lot of rich people there as well, a lot of diversity, but yeah, so that's the reality there. And coming from a country like that, if you don't change your environment, if you don't go to a different bubble, like be part of a different society, it's very hard for you to change your mindset. because you are just there, living there, and just looking out, just thinking about the next day, and you see all the media uh, telling you to buy things. You just get this mindset that, okay, rich people is not good people because like they make money on top of labor that are suffering. That's the mindset there, right? And it's hard to break it. I think the reason why I could break it is because I moved to a different environment, and I also had friends that was on the same journey, and getting knowledge from the internet, like your podcast or like you influencers. I think the internet helped a lot to people to escape from that reality, but it's very, yeah, it's not a good environment to know about investments in general. Like it's very hard. Yeah, I guess the word is hard.
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult for people, especially in the Western world. And I know that this podcast, I mean, I've got over 200 countries listeners now, but it's hard for us sometimes in this Western world to understand, as you say, unless you've been there. And I get it. And I haven't been to Brazil, but I lived in a third world country for a few years, and so I've seen what that poverty looks like, and just that, I'm worried about where my next meal's coming from, not necessarily like what my future is going to look like in terms of trying to save and invest, which it's tremendous. Kudos to you for being courageous enough to kind of get out of, as you say, that bubble, because if you're not, you don't know any different, right? And you're not exposed to something else or whatever. And I do think, the democratization of the internet, obviously you're an investor in Bitcoin that came from an, emerging country. It seems like some of these technologies now and the ability to access information is plowing away for some of these developed countries to, kind of get to that next level, and understanding and education and whatnot. So I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's not easy, but I think it paints a great picture for our listeners to understand that when you grow up in these other environments, it's not about what can I put in my 401k and what is that mortgage going to be when I buy that house or what that interest rate. It's where is my next meal coming from? And I don't know where the money's coming from for that next meal sometimes.
Yes, exactly. It's hard to understand that a stair also have negative steps, right? Because once we're born in a first world, in a first class world, you kind of born in a zero position, right? But some people out there, I guess majority of the countries in the world, people are like in the negative 30 or negative 40 position in the same stairs. Um, and it unless you really pay attention and find out and do your homework to learn about it, you won't see because no one goes to TV to show these things or create a like a podcast just to talk about poverty or things like that. It doesn't get popular, right? People don't like to hear stories that feel then make they feel bad. Yes, and I guess the reason why I was able to change it for my family is the reference, right? If I hadn't had someone to point me or to show me that there is a different world out there, I'll probably still there and I'll probably be thinking that's the normal life and that's life. uh, yeah, I'm really grateful for people like you that do the work and expose different ideas and show to the world for those who wants to learn from them because that makes a lot of difference for us to be able to see that there is a different world out there and try to achieve it one day.
When was the last time you needed to go to the doctor but found yourself making excuses? I'm too busy. It'll heal on its own. I don't know which doctor to go to. I've been there. It's so easy to push off because booking an appointment can feel daunting. But not anymore. Thanks to Zocdoc, there's no reason to delay. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in network doctors and instantly book an appointment. They have more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty: mental health, dental health, primary care, urgent care, you name it. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are nearby, and fit your medical needs, all with verified patient ratings. And the best part? You can see the actual appointment openings and book visits typically within 24 to 72 hours, sometimes even the same day. I've used this recently for my knee, and you should too. Stop putting off the doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/millionaire to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/millionaire.
Have you experienced any growing pains with your family, if you still have family back in Brazil, since you've created this new kind of completely transformative financial trajectory?
Yes, most of my family are still there, so I talk to them very often. So it's sad to see how things are still there, and it's just getting worse, to be honest. And on the other side, it's also a good exercise for me to be grateful, because sometimes we tend to forget where you came from. And if we don't pay attention to that, we end up thinking that the next target is what will make us happier. But that's not it's half truth, right? It's you need to be grateful from where we started and where we are right now, because otherwise you'll never be grateful, because there is always a next step. There are hundreds levels of reach, and it never ends, right? And it's hard to see my family there. My wife and I, we were able to bring some of our relatives to here. We've been helping people. We donate as well back in Brazil to some organizations. But yes, it's just our life. We think we are able to be here for a reason, and we are trying to every day trying to find out what that reason is. And yeah, just be grateful and help people when we can. Even this podcast is, I guess, one way to probably share the message to other people that came from the same place that I came, just to show them that okay, that there is a different way that you can achieve things, right? You don't need to was born in a rich family or be part of a privileged group to be able to change your life. You can achieve that by choosing the right person that you are going to live with and finding the job that gives you a good opportunity, not just in the country where you are, but in different places in the world as well, where they pay you more, sometimes 10 times more for the same skills that you do in a poor country. Yeah, that's my goal here.
Wow, I can't believe just how you've rewritten how your story could have ended, from chapter 1 where you started and how you've built such a great life, and along that way buoying up other people who have been living in poverty and being able to uplift them. I love that. Something we kind of didn't really talk about, but I'm curious about, what was it like and what kind of challenges did you face moving to a country that you have marketable skills and you also need to work, but you don't speak the language? How did you do that?
That was funny, if you want to look at that way. Yes, I came here to learn English, as I mentioned. I wasn't planned enough to know that Australia needed my skills. So I could have come as a software developer since day one if I learned English back home, right? but I didn't. I came just to learn English, and I was able. My plan was, okay, I need to work to survive. So I did construction jobs, I did delivery jobs, I did plumber, like different things, painter jobs, and it was really funny because as you mentioned, I wasn't able to communicate properly, but my brand was still the same. So I worked with people that wasn't really smart, and I was looking at them doing things that if I was able to speak, I'll probably try to suggest a better way to do. But I
Maybe it
was
was
just,
better. Maybe it was better that you couldn't.
but I was just laughing inside me, like, okay, that's okay. And it wasn't, it wasn't easy, right? The truth is, it's very hard when you don't know how to speak, you don't know how to defend yourself. Sometimes you hear people saying things that, okay, you just keep in silent and keep doing work. And because I was the kind of person that, okay, doesn't matter what work I'll do, I'll try my best to do. I was able to get jobs very easy and keep on them. But once my English was getting better and better, I was able to start applying for roles in my field. And it was funny too because once I was getting calls from the recruiters, I was in the middle of a construction site, like with a jackhammer or something, doing work, and my phone was ringing on my pocket. Oh my God, what I'll do? And I was just picking up the phone, and I was not able to say things properly. But that recruiter received my CV. They could see that I had experience, but I was not able to sell myself. It was really frustrating. But every day I was practicing it, and in the school I was getting help from my teacher as well. Can you please help me to sell myself? I need to be able to talk to a recruiter and tell my skills to them. And after 6 months, I think 6 to 7 months, I was able to get an interview. And yeah, it went well. I wasn't I wish I would have a record from that interview because I'll probably laughing hearing it now. But the guy who was wanting someone to help him was able to understand that okay, he knows how to work, but he just can't communicate properly. But I think if I just give him a bunch of work, he'll be doing it, and that's okay. And I went for a trial, and yeah, I was succeed. That's how it all started.
Wow. And where were you learning English? Was it through like a school, a university, or what kind of program?
Exchange program, like an English school. That they provide like English classes for people from overseas. Like you sit with another 10, 20 students from different places in the world, and you learn English. And that was like half day per day, so pretty intensive. Like my classes were during the night because during the day I was working, doing construction work. And yeah, you can imagine like me waking up 5 a.m. and then go to attend a class at 7 p.m. in the night. Half of the class I was trying to not sleep.
I'm sure.
But yeah, but it worked. So that
Okay.
was my journey learning English.
So then you land jobs, and then at some point you start your business there too.
Yes. Once I got my citizenship, yeah, before I got my citizenship, I was in a company. That company was helping me with the visa. And once I got my citizenship, nothing else was stopping me to make more money. And I got to know that contractors in Australia makes much more money than full permanent roles. Like if you open a business and you get engaged as a contractor, you got you get more money and you can be engaged directly with the company that you want to. And that's when I started my business. It's been 5 years now that my company is open. Um, yeah, so that's how I decided, and also tax efficient because we can claim much more things, put it under the business to get a tax deductible um, than if you are just a perm employee.
Wow, what a story, man. So you mentioned you kind of want to retire, quote unquote, or take these mini sabbaticals, but outside of that, I mean, where do you go from here? Do you have kind of a target net worth? Is there something that at this point you're striving for, coming along this journey from Brazil to getting citizenship in Australia, setting up business on the trajectory you're on, or how do you think about what the future looks like being as young as you are?
Yes, that's the thing that I realized. I'm still young. Um, I, 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 to be honest, I didn't have much plans until I reached that net worth. I guess it has changed a lot since I started. My first goal was 100K, then 500K, a million, and it went past now a million. And my goal now is probably to uh, keep working, yes, but try to find something more meaningful to me, as well as also travel a bit more, because I have this dream of do a sabbatical travel, like being in different countries and yeah, try to do remote work from there uh, as as much as I can, and not being just in one spot all the time. This nomad lifestyle because I really liked it. We did that in Brazil and I really love it. And I'm trying to convince my wife to do that because she wants to be stable. She likes to have a routine, and I'm the kind of person that likes to change more. I'm trying to push that. Um, but in terms of net worth target, I don't see that as a big goal anymore because I know it won't change much on our lifestyle now. I think we are pretty happy with the lifestyle that we have right now. Not saying that we are that we want to stay in the same position that we are right now. We want to have more help, especially delegating stuff at home, like getting a someone full time to be at home helping us with the children and etc. That's one thing that we want, and we know it costs money as well. Um, yeah, but I guess for the long term, probably travel more and find something more meaningful to do while we'll be traveling. But it may change in some time. I don't know.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap up with some rapid fire questions. What's the most expensive pair of pants or shoes that you purchased?
I don't know. Probably, yeah. It's probably $200.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not too much, depending where you are looking for. But in Brazil, that represents more than a month of income. So it's very expensive. Depends where you are comparing from.
Yeah, for sure. What about the most expensive meal out that you paid for?
I guess it was on the Father's Day that we were in Brazil and we got the whole family out. It wasn't much if we convert to Australian, I think, or to dollar. I think it was around $300 for the whole family. Wasn't much. I'm not a big fan of spending a lot on food, to be honest. I spend more on travels.
Okay. What about the most expensive trip or vacation or experience?
I think it was to the Philippines. I think we spent around 8 grand for the whole trip. Uh, but the other thing that I would like to mention is I we because I have this sense of changing all the time. I don't like to pay double rent or double things. So I'm always when I'm traveling, I put someone on my place so I can travel, and the budget that I would spend here as a home, I'll spend when I'm traveling. I'm not really attached to things like to material things, so I don't see a problem with that. So that amount is not the truth because that includes my rent that I would be paying anyway if I was in Australia. But yes, that's the total amount.
So you just do like an Airbnb or a couch swap deal or whatever when you travel for the place that
Exactly.
you're living? Okay.
Yeah, we did a lot of Airbnb before. We also did house sitting, like to look after pets from other people that wants to travel. And that's how we spent 10 weeks in the Gold Coast a couple of years ago and not paying anything. I think we saved a lot during that time because we just put someone on our place and we're not paying rent and we were fine. You were working remote from there and yeah, seeing all the new things in that city was amazing.
That's cool. What's a key lesson that you learned from childhood?
The key lesson is probably don't underestimate the power of changing your environment. Because I had a lot of episodes that I did a huge jump just by changing the environment that I was part of. And that's true for both sides, right? If you want to be a really bad person, just change your environment with a lot of bad people around you and you achieve that. And the same is for the opposite. I think that's the key lesson that I learned. And I was only able to learn that because I got people that told me that. Yeah, I guess that's the key lesson.
Okay. How did you make your first buck?
Formatting computers. Yes, I was the kind of young guy who was formatting computers for the family. Yeah, I didn't have a computer during that time. It's funny, but yeah, I was the guy who was interested on that. And if a computer was slow, I was the one that okay, let me have a look. And I was doing research and try to help them.
That's awesome. What's something that you've spent way too much money on but you don't regret?
On travels, for sure. Yeah, I've been to a lot of countries now, and yeah, that's the thing that I can't regret for sure. Like, and spend time with family and friends. It's also very expensive for me because I'm basically on the other side of the world. But yeah, it's something that if I would spend all my money on, I'll probably spend it on it. So,
What's the dumbest thing that you've ever wasted money on?
um, probably buying, I don't know, maybe things that I didn't use. Like when you think ahead that you need something, but you don't really wait until you actually need it. Nowadays we have the option to give it back, but I I I think I bought a lot of things before that I didn't use, related to like clothes and just widgets at home, things like that. And also makes my life very heavy if I need to move. So those sort of things I probably wouldn't buy. I'm not buying anymore unless I really want it.
What's a closely held belief that you once had that you recently changed your mind on?
The home bias. uh, we tend to believe that everything that we see as best is what we know, um, especially if you are not in a developed country. You tend to believe that your reality is the best reality. Doesn't matter if you see better things in the TV or in the movies. You don't really believe. Uh, so I guess that's the thing to me, especially with all the money that I kind of lost by just investing in Brazil. Um, Not that I did lost it because, as I was saying, it was increasing, but it was increasing in a currency that isn't great. So that's a big takeaway to me, especially when it involves a lot of money.
Yeah. Any last words of advice for somebody who's just starting out on their journey?
Just get to know different perspectives. You'll definitely find someone that is like you in the journey. And Yeah, and try to learn from their mistakes, because that's the cheapest way to learn. That's the advice that I'll probably give to someone, even to my friends. I say that there is no reason to make the same mistakes that people made before. And that's in general, right? That's life. We are very fortunately to have books, recordings, and a lot of things that we can refer back. And there are a lot of things that we can use to just get knowledge and don't make mistakes, not the same mistakes at least. Yeah, I guess one thing that it's important to say that I'm a Christian, and I really believe in God, and I don't think where I am right now is with no purpose. It's also to help other people, and 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 all the things that we were able to achieve. I think there is a purpose, and to help people there, and to spread also the like the knowledge that we can change our life, and also that's the smartest and quickest way to also help other people out there, and just to I guess spread God around the world, because everything gets easier, and you feel more powerful to do things when you have a purpose, and when you do it for a good intention, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that better.
Awesome. That's Gustavo with a net worth of $1.3 million. Thanks for on the show today.
Thank you, Jace. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Jace Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website, millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.